What is going on, everybody? This is Corey Lee's Boxing, and we are back with another banger. So please smash that like button, you guys, and subscribe. And yeah, man, I want to talk. Man, I want to talk. You know, all of the boxing that I've been paying attention to. I just haven't been, what I'm saying, reporting on it. Um, a lot happened. Good things for sure. But we back, man. And I want to give my year review on the sport of boxing and what's been going on in boxing. It's been so much to, unravel, so much to talk about, so many different fighters, fight of the year, um, you know, fighter of the year, um, upset of the year. We got a lot to talk about. We got a lot to talk about, you guys. We got a lot to talk about. Smash that like button as soon as you guys come in. Let's definitely get these likes up. Um, but yeah, man. I mean, fresh off you know, the fights that I want to talk about. Obviously, I started this channel talking about Alexander Usyk, Arthur Beterbiev, and those type of fighters, and the European fighters that nobody was talking about at the time. That's kind of when I started, doing this YouTube stuff, and it just catapulted to all the fighters. You know what I'm saying? And interviewing fighters and so forth and so on. But yeah, I want to talk about Usyk versus Fury. Right off the rip. That was a big fight. Across seas, it was a big fight. Um, you know, pretty much all over the country. I feel like, but it wasn't a huge, mega showdown here in the states. Here in the United States of America. Um, but to me, it was a huge fight. It was a huge fight. The first fight was big. The second fight was even bigger. Um, but you know, I feel like with it being out there in Saudi Arabia, a lot of fans couldn't see it. That live here in the states. They're not gonna pay upwards of $20,000 to see a fight, 15, 10, 15 $1,000 to see a fight. You know, but the fight went on. It went good. I did think Usyk won the first fight, and you know, I just I'm gonna be honest with you guys. Both fighters, did their thing. Both fighters, came in there. They were slugging. They were, giving it their all in the first fight. I think that it was a lot that could be said about the first fight. Um, but you know, to me, I think the right man won. I think Usyk won. I think Tyson Fury had showed slippage before the first fight, and I think it just catapulted over to the second fight. And then you got the second fight, where Tyson Fury was throwing really good shots, um, but it was sparingly, and it almost looked like um, Tyson Fury was sparring in there. It looked like he wasn't you know putting full leverage on all his shots. I feel like he was holding back just a little bit because he was, unaware of what was coming back. He knows that Usyk can hurt him, but he didn't know, you know, he just didn't want him to catch him, and that was a fact. He didn't want Usyk to catch him. And I mean, rightfully so. We all know Usyk to be, a respectable puncher, but not a huge mega. I'm gonna knock you out with one punch type of fighter. No, I haven't seen Usyk ever to be that type of fighter. Um, but that's not saying that it couldn't happen. Usyk did what he had to do to win the fight, and I think he won the fight fair and square. Both fights. But I think there was some backlash because you got Tyson Fury diehard fans out here that didn't want to see his fighter lose. They didn't want to see their fighter lose not once but twice. you know. And that's a lot of people thought that Tyson Fury was going to be edged in stone, as this dominant heavyweight, for all of his years of fighting. You know what I mean? And you go out drinking, you go out partying, eventually that catches up to you, in the ring, especially in the ring. Um, and I just feel like Father Time waits for no man. And I feel like, you know, to me, even though Usyk's probably got more amateur experience than Tyson Fury, um, less professional fights than Tyson Fury, but I really think that Tyson Fury has more mileage on his tank than Alexander Usyk. I'm gonna just be honest with you guys. I really think that, you know. And it's nothing against Tyson Fury. He's an awesome fighter. Smash that like button as soon as you guys come in. Let's definitely get these likes up. Um, I think he's an awesome fighter. But at the end of the day, man, it's one of those things, man, that Tyson Fury, you know, he was partying, he was drinking, he went on binges, he left the sport, he's back in the sport. Alexander Usyk pretty much kept it solid all the way through. You know, and I don't think any of his Usyk's layoffs since he turned professional have been over a year. You know what I mean? So that just shows you that he's a different type of fighter. You know what I'm saying? That shows you that Usyk is gonna go in there for the win, and he's staying. He's 37 years old. You know what I mean? He's 37 years old. You know, he didn't beat pretty much all of the heavyweights in the division. And all of the champions in the cruiserweight division. And I mean, the guy's been on a tear. It's been nothing but W's. From Marco Huck to Michael Hunter, um, to Murat Gassiev, you guys know him, Tony Bellew, Derek Chisora, Anthony Joshua twice, Daniel Dubois, Tyson Fury twice. I mean, he's beaten, the two top England heavyweights for the past 5 to 10 years. You know, he's beaten them not once but twice. You know what I mean? And he stands undefeated, 23-0 with 14 knockouts, you guys. And I'm talking about the man. Some would say the myth, you know, the legend, Alexander Usyk, man. I feel like he deserves everything he's gotten. I told you guys when I started this channel, he was going to be the one. And he was going to be that fighter that, rose to the top. His discipline, his, not depending on his power 100%, his fluent movements in and out of, you know, um, really tactical fighters, strategic fighters like Tyson Fury, knowing how to handle those, explosive power like Anthony Joshua and Daniel Dubois knows how to, weave in and out of there, almost like Nazir Richardson said, the late, very good trainer. He says you got to be able to swim without getting wet. And I think that's what, you know, Alexander Usyk has been doing, um, year after year after year after year after year. So I'm gonna start off with Alexander Usyk because I feel like he's my number one top pound for pound fighter of 2024. Because he beat, you know, Tyson Fury not once but twice. And you can't just overlook that. You can't overlook that. You can't overlook that at all. He beat him not once but twice. You know what I mean? And then he beat Daniel Dubois. So I mean, come on, man. How do you guys, you know? How do you guys, look past that shit, man? That shit was a mega fight, man. You know? He beat Daniel Dubois, man. So, like I said, man, that's my number one pound for pound fighter. Moving on. Um, I want to talk about Arthur Beterbiev, You know what I'm saying? Matter of fact, we'll talk about Arthur Beterbiev next. We'll talk about Terrence Crawford now. Um, you guys know Terrence Crawford had was coming off you know the biggest win of his career by beating Earl Spence Jr. Um, you guys know Earl Spence Jr. A lot of people held him in high regard. For pretty much being the A class fighter that he is or was, and beating all of the guys that he needed to beat. All of the guys he needed to beat, he beat them. And you know, when him and Terrence Crawford got in the ring, it just looked like it looked like it was night and day, man. It looked like it was night and day. It really did. It looked like, you know, it just looked like Terrence Crawford was in there with an amateur, to be honest. And I got nothing but the utmost respect for Earl Spence, but the way he just dissected and just started, pounding, you know what I'm saying, and punishing, you know, um, Earl Spence Jr. I feel like that has a lot to do with his technique, his conditioning, the amount of mileage he has on his career and his gas tank. And I think that, all of that, you know, spilled over into the fight. You guys know, you know, um, Earl Spence was in a terrible car accident, not, not saying that's an excuse on why he lost. But I'm just saying, what type of fighter did we really have in that ring, the night that they fought? And I mean, that's always going to be up for speculation. That's always going to be up for speculation. That's always going to be up for speculation. But like I said, man, Terrence Crawford is a bad man. He did beat Earl Spence Jr. And that fight did go down in 2023, but I mean, as far as 2024 goes, that catapulted him into, I feel like more the mainstream. More mainstream people knew about Terrence Crawford after that Earl Spence fight. And then he fought Israel uh, Madrimov. You guys know he was only 10-0 with one draw going into that fight. And Terrence Crawford, did what he had to do in that fight too. You know, he had to really, do what he did. But, Terrence Crawford, when he fought Israel Madrimov, Madrimov, he was moving up there to 154 pounds. He's moving up to a weight class that he had, never been at prior. And you could tell that the fighters at 154, you know, they were not backing down. And I think Magnumov, from Uzbekistan, he came in there tough, man. He came in there tough as nails with only a professional record of 10-0. I mean, he came in there tough as nails, man. He gave Terrence Crawford, a really good fight. I think that was a really good fight. And I think that, Magnumov leaves that fight, you know, with, people want to know, like, how good is this guy? Is Terrence Crawford slipping or is Magnumov really like that? We'll only know, in the months and years to come, if Magnumov was really like that in that fight. Because we'll know if Magnumov, was not only taking those punches from Terrence Crawford, well, um, but he was able to dish him out too, and does Magnumov have that power at 154 pounds, like we know, Terrence Crawford to have at 147. But he did not get the stoppage. He did not get the stoppage. Um, but like I said, I think eventually he'll be able to get the stoppage. The more he fights at 154 and the more he, tries to be great and destined to be great. Listen, Terrence Crawford right now is my, he's got to be, number 2 pound for pound, if not number 1. I'm putting, Usyk number 1 just because the guy has, listen, man, the guys went in damn near all his, all the big fights in their backyard. So, I mean, excuse me, in their backyard. Usyk pretty much fought all of his fights on the road. I just want to throw that out there before you guys in the comments start being like, damn, you got Usyk number 1 and not Crawford or not Inoue or not Beterbiev. Um, yeah, that's who I got. So, you know what I mean? Right now, listen, Beterbiev is and we're gonna talk about him, but right now, Terrence Crawford, he did everything that, I guess he could do contractually in 2024. He only fought one time, which we did not get to see a whole lot of that. But I hope we get to see more of Terrence Crawford in 2025. He is an awesome talent. He is an awesome fighter, and I think that he still has mileage left on that gas tank. That's good mileage. That's mileage that we can see, him possibly flourish and do well. Um, even better than he's already done, against Earl Spence. I think there's more greatness to come. They're talking about Terrence Crawford possibly fighting a former pound for pound king in Canelo Alvarez. You guys, smash that like button and subscribe. This is Corey Lee Boxing, and you guys know we are back with another banger. So smash that like button right now, you guys. We're talking about Terrence Crawford. We're talking about, you know, possibly Canelo Alvarez in the fight. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of people want to see. A lot of people want to see that fight. You know, me included. Me included. So right now, Terrence Crawford and Canelo Alvarez, from what I'm hearing, have possibly begun negotiations. And that's a huge sign for the sport of boxing. That's a huge sign for, um, Terrence Crawford's career. And that's a huge sign that Canelo Alvarez actually wants to challenge himself with, one of the best, if not the best fighter, pound for pound in the world of boxing in Terrence Bud Crawford. Canelo Alvarez was former before he was, the best pound for pound fighter. He was, I'm not taking anything away from Canelo Alvarez. He was, but we have seen some slippage. We have seen some slippage. And I think he was even, I not too much on a point where it's like, damn, you know, he needs to possibly retire soon. But it was almost like, damn, you're going up to 175 pounds and fighting Beterbiev Bivol. I know for a fact that Canelo Alvarez is a smaller guy. I've seen him in person, so I've sized him up. You know what I'm saying? I'm 6 foot, 200. You know what I'm saying? Canelo Alvarez is not that. You know what I'm saying? And he's fighting Beterbiev Bivol. He's fighting, bigger fighters. Sergey Kovalev, bigger guys that walk in the ring heavier than Canelo Alvarez. This will actually be one that will, I think that will mess him up. I think that it will, you know, I think Canelo Alvarez fighting Terrence Crawford, it will show more of Terrence Crawford's skill. Um, and a lot of people thinks that Terrence Crawford is going to be able to stop Canelo Alvarez. You got some hardcore fans saying that. And then you got some other hardcore fans saying that, they think that Canelo Alvarez could possibly get stopped by Terrence Crawford because they've seen enough slippage where as if to say, you know, this could be the end for him. And they think Terrence Crawford is catching Canelo Alvarez at the right time. You guys got to understand that boxing is a business. And with Turkey Al-She being in the sport of boxing, being one of the richest men, in the world, um, that shows a lot about him and what he wants to do in the sport of boxing. Because in boxing, it takes a lot of money to make these tough ass fights, man. You know, obviously we got Terrence Crawford versus Earl Spence. That was on, the PBC side of things. But we would have, I feel like it was if Turkey Al-She didn't step in for a couple fights, I don't think we would have ever seen him. Possibly like the Beterbiev versus Bivol that I'm gonna touch on, and the Usyk versus Tyson Fury. I think those two fights we probably would have never seen if it wasn't for Turkey Al-She stepping in and spending that fucking money. You know what I'm saying? He's got money to spend. He's one of the richest men in the world. You know, these fighters are getting career high paydays fucking with Turkey Al-She. You know what I mean? If I'm pronouncing his name right, excuse me. Um, but I think he's, from what I've seen, I'm outside looking in. I think he's good for boxing. Like I said, I don't know what he's doing behind closed doors. I don't know if he's giving these fighters contracts. I don't know, what's the stipulations behind some of these fights. So I can't speak on that. But I can speak on what he's done for us lately. You know what I mean? What has he done for us lately? And lately he's been giving us, fight after fight. He's been giving us fight after fight. He's been giving us fight after fight, man. And I can't do nothing but respect that. So moving on, man. Terrence Crawford versus, he's only fought one time this year. They're talking about possibly a Canelo Alvarez fight, in the middle of the year, possibly in May. We'll see, how that goes. And we'll see. They're talking about possibly 164-pound catch weight, possibly. I don't know. But like I said, man, I think Canelo Alvarez versus Terrence Crawford is probably one of the biggest fights in boxing, if not the biggest fight in boxing. And it's definitely a fight that I want to see. Terrence Crawford wants it, then I want it. You know what I'm saying? Fuck it. You know what I mean? If Terrence Crawford wants it, then I want it for him. You know what I'm saying? Let that man eat, man. He's been, I ain't gonna say blackballed, but he's definitely been, kind of the outside guy looking in. When he was with Top Rank, he was only fighting in-house fighters. He was only fighting certain guys, and people wanted to see him fight like, the Earl Spencers of the world, the Danny Garcias of the world, the Keith Thurmans of the world. We still haven't yet to see Keith Thurman. So, like I said, stay tuned. But another fight I want to talk about is Artur Beterbiev. You guys know I really, really, really rock with Artur Beterbiev for the last 6, 7, 8 years now. You know, he's a problem. He's still a problem. I think him and Bivol, their fight were two skilled guys going back and forth, and it showed. What up, Charles D? What's going on, my brother? What's up with you, my boy? What's up, man? Talking, going down some of the fights that we got this year. And the fighters. My number 3 pound for pound fighter is Artur Beterbiev. You know, I think Artur Beterbiev, showed that he could possibly be number 1, but he needed to separate himself. You need to separate yourself when you're in the sport of boxing. You need to separate yourself from the fighters that you fight. You need to show why you're the number 1 guy. You need to show why, you're not to be fucked with. You know what I mean? And I think that he showed us glimpses in the Bivol fight, Beterbiev did, but he didn't finish it like we're used to seeing. Mind you, this is the first fight that Artur Beterbiev had actually went the distance in. All of the other fights he didn't go the distance in. You know, so we haven't seen this before. This is new territory for Artur Beterbiev going the distance. We haven't seen that. So, you know, I just think right now, man, Artur Beterbiev is, he needs to do this rematch. I am gonna put him at number 3 right now, but I want to see how this rematch goes. And I want to see if he can solidify, his name in the history books and stop Bivol. I want to see a fucking stoppage. I don't want to see no split decision. I don't want to see a close fight. I want to see either Bivol or Beterbiev stopping this shit once and for all. That's what I wanted to see in Tyson Fury versus Usyk, but we just never got it. We just never got it. That was a fight that we just never got it. You know what I mean? So with Beterbiev versus Bivol, I feel like, we could possibly get it, if they go for it. But then again, Bivol has to be more. I think Beterbiev did. But Bivol was fighting on the back foot. Bivol was coming forward sometimes, but he was, I seen him on the back foot as well. So, if Bivol wants to go for it and wants to separate himself, he's got to start coming forward a little bit more, or staying in the pocket, because Beterbiev knows how to cut the ring off pretty well. And I think he did, show glimpses of that, in the Beterbiev versus Bivol first fight, but they're scheduled to fight again. From what I'm hearing, they're going to have a rematch. And, I hope both fighters, when we leave the fight, I hope we can tell who is the better fighter. You know what I mean? Because in that first fight, I wasn't 100% sold on it. I wasn't 100% sold on it. I think that Beterbiev could have did better. I think Bivol could have did better. And I think I've seen both of these guys put on better performances than that. But you got to understand the skill level as well. Both guys are at a top tier skill level. So when you're at a top tier skill level, it's hard to really do what you want if you want to do it, you know. But the greats always find a way to get it done. I'm not saying that the great fighters stop every single fighter that they're in the ring with. But I'm just saying, give us a knockdown or something where, you know what I mean, you done heard them or you had them, you know what I mean? Where we can solidify you. We're like, yes, this guy Beterbiev was nothing to fuck with. He dropped, Bivol in the rematch and solidified itself. So, anyways, there's that. Um, they're talking about they're gonna meet in February, on February 22nd. That's actually next month for the undisputed light heavyweight championship in a rematch. That's a pretty damn quick turnaround. That's a pretty quick turnaround. You know, that's a pretty quick turnaround. But that's a fight that I want to see. That's a fight that I'm gonna, I just start going live on some of these fights and calling these fights how I see it. But I got Inoue number 4 on the list. I'll just do top 5 right now, you guys. We don't go all the way down the list. We don't go crazy. But Inoue, another fighter that has done very well in the sport of boxing. I've been talking about Inoue on this channel for a while now. I think that Inoue is awesome for the sport. I think Inoue has showed why he's so good in the sport of boxing. And like I said, I just want to see, the best fight the best. We haven't got a whole lot of, big time Inoue fights this year. But hopefully we'll get more in the coming months. He's supposed to be fighting, I believe, next month. And so we'll get a fight then. But as far as right now, I mean, listen, he's been doing well, you know, he's been doing well. But, like I said, he hasn't put on those mashable performances. He fought twice in 2024. He fought twice in 2024. And I just think right now, man, Inoue's got to show us, man. Look, we want to see them top tier fights. We want to see you, you know, we want to see you in there. He fought Louis Neri. You guys know he fought him May 6, 2024. He stopped him, okay, in the 6th round. That was a 12 rounder. Um, and that was for the WBA, the WBC, the IBF, the WBO, and the Ring Magazine Super Bantamweight titles. So he is the undisputed champion at Super Bantamweight, as you guys know. Um, and then he fought after that, after beating Louis Neres and knocking him out. You know what I'm saying? Louis Neres, he fought TJ Doheny. And he wound up stopping him in the 7th fight, and I mean in the 7th round. But the Louis Nery fight, Louis Nery, dropped Inoue. He dropped him. So Inoue had to get off the canvas, get up. You know, it wasn't a whole 10 count, but he did get dropped, and the ref did start counting. And listen, Inoue, as he goes up in these weight classes, he is going to get tested. He is going to get tested like no other. He is going to get tested, I think to the brink. You know, how high in weight is he willing to go? Because we seeing guys like Louis Neri with punching power. Don't get it twisted. Louis Neri has punching power. You know, how high is Inoue willing to go up? Is he willing to go up to a weight class where we can finally see those big fights? Because a lot of fight fans want to see him versus Bam Rodriguez. Bam Bam. You know, that's an awesome fight too. And so, with that being said, man, Inoue did finish the year off strong and stopping both guys, but we want to see the level of competition. We want to see names. We want to see, you know, Hall of Fame type caliber names that you're fighting. You know what I mean? When you start getting, because anyway, I mean, he's 31 years old. He's possibly in the prime of his career. We want to see him fight the best. You say you're the best, fight the best. You know, fighting guys like TJ is like, thank you, but no thank you. You know what I'm saying? But no fucking thank you. You know what I mean? I mean, there's other guys out there to fight, man. But like again, he's got to stay busy. And boxing is a tricky sport when it comes to the business side of it. So, who's to say that, Inoue is out here, not who's to say he's not out here trying to make moves and not trying to make these fights happen. He might be trying to make these fights happen, but the promoter of the other fighters got to be able to make it happen too. And if I'm the promoter of my fighter, I know for a fact that I'm gonna have to get a career high payday fucking with Inoue. Because Inoue is coming to take your motherfucking head off. You know what I'm saying? He's coming to ice you, man. Freeze you up. Have you on the ground, not move. You know what I mean? He's here to really inflict punishment in those smaller weight divisions. So, for Inoue, for people to say that Inoue hasn't been doing enough in the sport of boxing and hasn't been, fighting the guys that they want to see fight. Yeah, maybe, this year he didn't fight the biggest names, but you guys know he sat Stephen Forden on his ass from Philly. He traveled all the way from Philly all the way to Japan. Salute for doing that. Most fighters wouldn't even do that. But he did that. Okay. And like I said, right now, man, both guys, are good fighters. You know, I'm not taking anything away from, Stephen Forden, but he got sat down. He got iced out. You know, he got pretty much, ran through when he went to, Japan. And shout out to Stephen Ford. I think he's a good fighter. I think he can come back from that. Um, but and Stephen Ford was saying he was a little dehydrated, or weight drained from that fight. He felt like he should have been moved up in weight. And now we'll see him and Brandon Figueroa. We'll see how that goes. A rematch that a lot of people thought could have went the other way. So we'll see. He's got a chance to right his wrong, or to some fans, right his wrongs. You know what I mean? I think he won that first fight. But it was a close fight in some eyes. But yeah, that was, like I said, man. Inoue is my number, 4 pound for pound fighter in boxing, and I mean rightfully so. Rightfully so. Rightfully so. Rightfully so. And number 5, man, I got Gervonta Tank Davis. You know what I mean? I know a lot of people might say they might have him, higher on the list or lower on the list or wherever the case may be, but he did break the top 5 in Corley's boxings. You know what I mean? He did, fight really good fight. I mean, I ain't gonna say he fought the best fighters. Like I said, man, we only got, a couple good, like 50-50 championship level fights this year. You know, Beterbiev versus Bivol was 1. Tyson Fury versus Usyk was 2. After that, name me a 50-50 fight going into that fight where you was like, damn, this is a 50-50 fight. I don't know who's going to win. It didn't have that too many of them joints. To me, y'all might look at it different though, you know. But those are the ones that stand right out me. Like the Jose Benavidez versus David Ramel. The Jose Benavidez versus you know, no, excuse me, David Benavidez versus David Morrell. I think that's gonna be a good fight. I'm not sure if it's gonna be a 50-50 fight. I'll probably 60-40, a little bit more towards David. But some people will disagree. So we'll have to see. But yeah, Gervonta Davis did crack the top 5. And I wish we could see him fight more too. I wish we could see Gervonta Tank Davis fight more. He only fought once in 2024. Um, and that was against Frank Martin. And he wound up stopping Frank Martin in the 8th round. You know. Gervonta Davis's I'll say, last 4 fights, Rolly Ramiro stopped him in the 6th. Okay. That was in 2022. Hector Garcia stopped him in the 9th, 2023. Then he fought again in 2023. He fought Ryan Garcia. Excuse me. That was in 2023, April 22nd. You know what I mean? Smash that like button as soon as you guys come in. April 22nd. He stopped Ryan Garcia in the 7th round. Okay. And then he fought once, and then he only fought once in 2024. And he fought Frank Martin. And I think he did well in that fight. I think he did well in that fight. He stopped him in the 8th round. He got him out there. It was a little buzz behind that fight for sure. Um, and when I say little, I mean he got the buzz in the States, but I'm talking about global. I'm not sure how big a Frank Martin versus Gervonta Tank Davis fight was globally. But he stopped him, shut him up, stopped him, and he breaks the top 5, man. He did well in that fight. You know, he lost a couple rounds, but he did well in that fight. He stopped him like he always has been doing lately for the most part. you know, for the most part. You know, listen, Gervonta Tank Davis is 30-0 with 28 big wins by way of knockout. So there's only two guys that has actually went the distance with Gervonta Tank Davis. Okay. So that breaks the top five, you guys, for the pound for pound list. And listen, it's the end of 2024. It's the beginning of 2025. This is January 1st, 2025, when I'm making this video. Um, there's more to come. There's more to come. Um, Bigger fights. Turkey Al-Ashi is, putting his foot down. He wants to see the fights just like we do. So guess what? He's got a bigger fucking wallet than we do, and he's gonna use it. And so, and I like that. You know what I mean? I like that he's opening his wallet up, and he doesn't mind spending the money on the fights that the fans want to see. How can you not like that? How can you not like that? I mean, I don't see how you cannot like a guy like that that's changing the sport the way he is. And he's pretty much changing it, you know, with his currency, with his money, you know, and ain't nothing wrong with that. Ain't nothing in the world wrong with that. But my knockout of the year would probably have to be, or yeah, knockout of the year would probably have to be Daniel Dubois versus Anthony Joshua. I mean, yeah, I could see that coming, but the way that came, it was just like, damn. You know what I mean? Joshua looks wild, you know what I mean, right now. Super, super burnt out. You know what I mean? Like he just looked like he needs a new trainer, a new outlook on what's going on in his life. And I mean, he was getting hit with shots that I feel like earlier in his career, he was, I'm not saying he could avoid them all, but Daniel Dubois is not the best boxer in the world, man. And he's not the fastest boxer in the world. And a lot of people say that he's not even the champion of the world. That belt got handed to him. That belt came from Alexander Usyk when they stripped him because he didn't fight, I guess, Daniel Dubois quick enough. Motherfucker, he beat Daniel Dubois already. So why are you stripping him? But nevertheless, he got knockout of the year. Daniel Dubois, I respect him as a fighter. Awesome fighter. Very entertaining fighter because he's coming to bring it. Even in the Jarrell Big Baby Miller fight. Um, I would love to see Daniel Dubois versus Bacoli at this present time. Bacoli coming off of a Jared Anderson, destruction. And Daniel Dubois coming off of a Anthony Joshua destruction. Now Daniel Dubois is fighting Joseph Parker. So we're going to see how that fight goes. I love to see that fight too. We know Joseph Parker beat Deontay Wilder. And he beat him fair and square. He beat him. So yeah. So that's my knockout of the year. Upset of the year, man. I'm gonna be honest with you guys. I gotta say the Hami Munguia. I mean, Hami Munguia, you know, he was fighting a guy which in my eyes I think was tailor made for him. You know what I mean? I think that, Hami Munguia, those people over there at Golden Boy, really had a tailor made fight for him, man. And all he had to do was just get past it. You know what I'm saying? That's all he had to do. His name was Bruno. His name was Bruno Serace, okay? If I'm pronouncing his name right. I watched the fight live and I seen Hami Munguia was winning rounds. Smash that like button as soon as you guys come in. This is my upset of the year 2024. He was winning rounds. Okay? He was winning rounds. But he got caught. Even the great ones do. But they talking about possibly having a rematch in that fight. I'm gonna be honest, man. Hami Munguia is there to get hit. So let's not say that he's just, you know, Usyk type of fighter where he's just, you know, he's gonna move around and he's gonna, dance around and he's gonna hit you. He's gonna square up with you. He's gonna. Jaime Munguia is more of a come forward, you know, slugger. You know what I'm saying? I mean, yeah, he does have a jab, you know, here and there. He does have a jab. He does have a pretty good jab, when he wants to use it. That's a whole nother discussion. But he got caught. And he got caught. And I think that, Jaime Munguia got caught and, he's got to show us, look, man, that was a fluke. That's not gonna ever happen again. I'm gonna come in here, I'm gonna do an immediate rematch. I'm gonna right my wrongs and I'm gonna beat him. Now I think if he can stay away from, some of those, wild punches that, Bruno was throwing, I think that he could definitely win the 12-round unanimous decision. I really think so. Maybe stop him. If he stops him, then he definitely rights his wrongs. Like we seen Chris Eubank Jr. do Liam Smith. You know, Liam Smith completely, you know, stopped Chris Eubank Jr. and beat him. And then when, Chris Eubank Jr. came back in a rematch, he stopped Liam Smith. It was like you could tell it was a whole different mission he was on. And that's the type of fighter you got to be if you're Jaime Munguia. You got to come in there on a whole different mission. Not only did you get embarrassed on national TV by a guy that we thought you were going to run through, okay? Not taking anything away from Bruno, but Bruno had did nothing prior to that to show us that he was ready for Jaime Munguia. Not saying he won't. And then he was losing rounds against Jaime Munguia. So, listen, I would love to see the rematch. Definitely make the rematch happen. But if Jaime Munguia wants to set itself away from the best, set itself apart, you know, with the best type of fighters, you know, he's got to win this fight and he's got to win it emphatically. He's got to win it with no equivalent. Like he's got to really put, belt to ass. You know what I mean? Like he's got to really ice this dude. And so I need to see him really, you know, dig deep and really, stop this guy, Bruno. Because, right now he's in the upset of the year, man. Bruno is upset of the year right now. Cali Kid in the chat says, I feel Bud getting his ass handled. Shout out to Cali Kid. I'm not going to say that. I'm going to say that, Crawford, if he does fight Canelo Alvarez, I think it'll be a good fight. We'll see. You know what I mean? Him versus Canelo Alvarez. I think if that's what you're talking about, I think that would be a good fight. Smash that like button and subscribe. Mm-hmm. And I just think, right now, Jaime Munguia's got to go back to the drawing board. He's got to go back to what is, he's got to go back to the drawing board, and he's got to show us that he's got to show us that he's that guy. You know what I mean? He's got to show us. So yeah, man, in my 2024, you guys, in my 2024, you guys, fighter of the year goes to, drum roll, please, Alexander Usyk. I know you guys are probably like, oh, we seen that coming, but rightfully so. He deserves it. You got to reward a fighter when he does good out there, man. And he showed that he can not only beat Tyson Fury once, but he can beat him twice. And I think that Alexander Usyk, really set himself apart from the rest. And even some greats. You know, you guys got to understand, Alexander Usyk is starting to solidify himself as arguably the greatest fighter of all time. Like I said on this channel years ago, go check on all my receipts I'm talking about. Check on all my receipts I've been telling you guys about. You know, I'm not just saying this just to say it. This guy has really been that guy for a while. You know what I'm saying? In the WBSS tournament, you know, the World Series, the World Boxing Super Series. So you guys got to understand, he's been doing this for a while. He's beat everybody at cruiserweight. He's damn near beat everybody at heavyweight. That's somebody. And I think right now, man, Usyk literally could retire. And I think his legend would only grow. Because he's cleared out everybody, if you think about it. You know, he's beat Daniel Dubois, which has a belt. The only other fighter in the heavyweight division that has another belt that means something is Daniel Dubois. And that's because they stripped Alexander Usyk because he had the obligation to take the rematch. He had to take the rematch. It was already in the paperwork. Okay? And the IBF stripped him. So now Daniel Dubois is the IBF champion of the world because they stripped Alexander Usyk. My 2024 fighter of the year. There's only one motherfucking heavyweight champion of the world. You know what I'm saying? And that's Alexander Usyk. You know, until somebody shows me otherwise, that's Alexander Usyk. Not only that, Alexander Usyk is the 2024 fighter of the year, and rightfully so. To be the guy that came into that fight undefeated, you know, well, he had one loss coming into the, you know, because of the rematch, but to give Tyson Fury after all the fighters he's fought and after all the shit Tyson Fury's been through, and to give him 2 L's back to back is astronomical. It's like, damn. Because it hits different on the global stage. You guys got to understand how big these fighters is overseas. You know what I mean? Tyson Fury has a name overseas. Alexander Usyk has a name overseas. You know, I'm not taking anything away from any of the other fighters. You know, we know Canelo Alvarez is a big superstar. We know Ryan Garcia is a big superstar. But when it comes to pure fighting, pure boxers, and just all around greatness, you got to put Alexander Usyk up there with the greats, man. You got to. You know, you got to. You know. And with that being said, you guys, I've been almost on here for an hour, you guys. Okay. So I hope you guys, you know, love the show. I mean, you know, love what I'm doing. And I'm planning on giving you guys more content, you know, for the future, for the, you know, for the time to come. Like I said, I appreciate you guys watching. And I thank you guys for subscribing. If you guys want to donate, you can donate to the Cash App at Corey Boxing. Thank you guys so much for watching. You know, shout out to all the other YouTubers out there that's making content, that's been on their grind. You know what I'm saying? I've seen some of you guys been on y'all grizzle. Keep it up. Um, and like I said, man, we're gonna keep it going, man. We're gonna keep it going, man. You know, Corey Boxing back with another banger. And I'll catch you guys on the next one, all right? Thank you guys so much for watching. Peace.